Marhaba, shalom and welcome to the new podcast Israel and Palestine Unpacked with your host Porrick. In this introductory episode, I would like to share with you some of my aims and motivations for beginning this podcast. Having lived in Palestine and Israel, I can say with clarity that the region has had a significant impact on me. How I think and interpret the people and world around me. Growing up in Belfast, Northern Ireland, with a heavy presence of soldiers, experience of political demonstrations, bombings, gunfire and checkpoints at an informative period of my life meant that when I moved to the Middle East, this world held some familiarity for me. But my eyes were also opened by my experience of the cultures, peoples, societies, and how each individual and community navigated their lived experience around them while simultaneously adapting to it. These experiences have allowed me to meet many Israelis, both religious and secular, as well as Palestinians from the West Bank and Israel, during my time living in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and in Nablus, in addition to other places that I visited. In Israel and Palestine Unpacked, it is my desire to speak to people and to listen to their stories and life experiences, as well as to interview people such as academics as well as journalists who can provide real insight into the events, global, historical, political and religious, that have underpinned, shaped and moulded this conflict. I am not naive, as I understand that this is a deeply divisive, emotionally triggering and deadly conflict, as we have all witnessed. Even the usage of the word conflict angers some people. And I recognise that many of you listening will have different political experiences and perspectives, as well as theologies and interpretations of the historical events that many of us have come to know so recently. It's really important to highlight that I am here to interview and to interview alone. There will be views shared which listeners will disagree with, but I believe that there is value in learning how people think and how their worldviews are constructed through their experiences, ideological lenses, and the tools that they use to make sense of the world around them. Therefore, it is important for me to say that this is an educational podcast and that the views of those interviews belong to those people interviewed alone. My objective is to host this podcast once a fortnight, with each episode being approximately 30 minutes in length. For the foreseeable future, I have decided when I'm interviewing ordinary everyday people that there will be one Palestinian and one Israeli interviewed in each episode. Each individual interviewed will not have the same experience and therefore should not be compared against one another, as they reside in areas that have contrasting economic, political and social experiences. I'm genuinely open to your feedback, ideas for topics to cover, as well as people to interview. To be honest, this podcast can only be successful with your following and input. So thank you for tuning in today. And don't forget to like, subscribe and follow us on our social media platforms to stay updated on our upcoming episodes.